Welcome, I'm Crystalgate. Welcome to my first From Glory to Go game mechanics tutorial. I have already made a few tutorials where I've explained how to build a strong economy in From Glory to Go. But I haven't explained the actual numbers and other mechanics behind the economy. So today I'm going to do exactly that. The first building I want to look at is the hub. Hubs provide +8 effort per cycle and also increases maximum effort by 16. The latter is unlisted, but nevertheless very important. As far as I know, hubs and their upgraded counterparts is the only way in the game to increase maximum effort. There are other ways to get effort, but you will need hubs or their upgraded counterpart just for the sake of having maximum effort. Now, I said earlier that hubs gives +8 effort per cycle, but that's not entirely true. The hub gives +6 workers and +2 professionals. Let's look at what they do. The workers produce 0.5 effort when not in use. When not in use means they are not assigned to a building or a unit. Professionals provides 2.5 effort when not in use. Expert produces 4 effort when not in use. Hubs have no experts, but their upgraded counterparts do. Now back to the hub. It gives you 6 workers, each who produces 0.5 effort per cycle for a total of 3 effort per cycle. It gives you 2 professionals, each who produces 2.5 effort per cycle for a total of 5 effort per cycle. That gives you 8 effort per cycle. So, rather than actually giving you +8 effort, the hub gives you people who in turn gives you the 8 effort. This is usually the same thing, but unlike most other games of this type, in From Glory to Go you can actually go into negatives when it comes to your available workers. If you go into the negative, the workers will provide you a negative effort income, but that negative income will then be multiplied by 1.5. So if you have a negative 10, say experts, those would give you a negative 40 effort per cycle, which is then multiplied by 1.5 for a total of negative 60 effort per cycle. This means that if you are on negative workers, each hub could potentially actually gives you +12 effort per cycle. The hub costs 1 energy, and without the life support it costs 5 water. With the life support it costs only 3 water, which is a lot less. The biodome provides +20 effort. Just as with the hub, those 20 effort is indirectly gained through the population it provides. And the effort income can potentially be 1.5 times as much if your already into the negatives. It does also provide +1 expert, which you can't get from hubs. That fact is not so significant though, since you can, even if you don't have any experts and needs them, you can just go into negative and eat the effort penalty that comes from it. The biodome also provides +34 maximum effort. The biodome costs 4 energy and 11 water without life support. With life support it costs 7 water. The biodome is less efficient when it comes to power usage compared to your income boosts, but more efficient when it comes to water, and water is the limiting factor. That said, the biodome is much more expensive to build and has a much higher payoff time, so it is often more efficient to build hubs at first and then later upgrade them to biomes, even when you have biomes unlocked. Sky Garden gives +37 effort per cycle and increases the maximum by 50. It costs 6 energy and 18 water without life support and 12 water with life support. The Sky Garden is more efficient than the biodome, but also more expensive. The robotics gives +4 effort per cycle per adjacent hub. As such, you want to build hubs and their upgraded counterpart in a 3x3 pattern with a robotics in the middle. Considering that hubs gives +8 effort per cycle under normal condition, that means you get 1.5 the effort per hub by having robotics. This is not entirely true though, because robotics has an upkeep cost. The robotics requires 2 workers and 1 professional. This means that every cycle you get 3.5 effort less. This is also how upkeep works for humans in this game. Every unit and building has a population requirement. The population then used up for the unit or building will then no longer generate effort. The effective upkeep is not listed anywhere. If you want to know it, you have to look at the population requirement and then calculate the effective upkeep yourself. The robotics also costs 7 energy, which is almost a solar panel, considering that the solar panel has an upkeep on itself. You're now looking at an effective upkeep of more than 4 effort per cycle. So if you have a maximum of 8 adjacent hubs, what you're getting for a bonus effort is more in line of 7 adjacent hubs when you factor in the upkeep. The robotics gets +6 effort income per adjacent biodome. This is only 1.5 the effort bonus that you get from the hub, while the biodome itself gives 2.5 times the effort income of the hub. Once you factor in robotics, the biodome has, on a effort per consumed water basis less efficiency than the hub. That said, spacing concerns do generally make upgrading hubs into biodomes desirable eventually. The robotics gains +8 effort per adjacent Sky Garden. Note that the robotics, while increasing your effort income, do not increase your maximum effort. The mining hub gives 0.4 effort per cycle for every crystal tail in range. By default, the mining hub has a range of 2 tiles in every direction, including diagonally. You are allowed to put down multiple mining hubs so that their mining range overlaps with each other. But if you do so, only one of the mining hubs gets to mine the overlapping crystals. The same holds true for every resource extracting building that is able to overlap. The drill mine gives 0.3 ore per cycle per ore tile in range. It has the same range as the mining hub. The advanced drill mine gives twice as much ore. The life support reduces the water requirement of hubs, biodomes, sky gardens with a third rounded up in a 12x12 area centered around itself. This is a huge boost, as it means that if you manage to fit all of your population granting buildings within the life support areas, you are efficiently multiplying your population limit with more than 1.5. The ideal setup with a life support is that you make a 4x4 setup of the 3x3 hub/biodome/sky garden with a robotics bay in the middle, but you replace the 4 buildings in the middle of that 4x4 setup with the life support. In practice, you rarely find such an ideal setup. You're most likely to get it in the desert biome, but even then there's probably going to be a tamper or two in the way. The life support also increases the maximum amount of water you can have, but that barely matters. There's very little strategical benefit in having a high amount of max water in this game. The pump extracts water from nearby tiles. It extracts 0.4 water from dirt tiles, 1.3 water from grass tiles, 2.1 water from lush tiles, and 1.7 water from swamp tiles. Those values are added together and then rounded to closest value. All other tiles give 0 water unless you have the stratagem that allows you to extract water from rock tiles. In that case, the rock tiles give 0.4 water. All buildings except for the connector will prevent the pump from extracting water from that tile, including the pump itself. Geyser pumps can only be placed on geysers and gives 50 water. That's pretty much all there is to it. The solar panel is the basic way of boosting your power. A single solar panel gives +8 power. If the solar panel's edges touches one another solar panel, it gets 9 power instead. If it touches 2 or more other solar panels, it gets 10 power. The graphics will also in that case change from being square shaped to being a more octagon shaped. If it touches one or more battery, it gets an additional +1 power. The reactor gives 110 power, which is a lot, but also consumes 30 water, which is also a lot. You can spend crystals or isotopes to further boost the power output. You could instead just build more solar panels. I have never encountered a situation where I found the water sacrifice justified. The battery increases the maximum energy by 2500, which is a lot. It also increases the energy production of nearby solar panel by 1. Unlike with water, there is actually a benefit to having a lot of maximum energy. If your power production falls down to below the usage, having a lot of it stored up will buy you time to hurriedly build more solar panels. The processor takes 5 crystals, consumes them, and then spits out 1 isotope. Since it does so 1.5 times per cycle, this means it consumes 7.5 crystals per cycle. If you were a bit unlucky with the crystal spawns and you build multiple processors, you can actually wreak havoc on your crystal income. When you mine a crystal ore and you have a factory, the crystal or ore will then, instead of being sent to your base, be sent to your factory. The factory then processes the crystal or the ore and then sends it back to the base doubled. There is, however, a limit to how fast it can process the crystal and the ore. Until rather recently, upon releasing this video, there was a bug that allowed a single factory to double all ore and crystal income, no matter how high it was. This has been fixed though, and now you will need multiple factories if you have a high crystal or ore income and you want to double all of it. To figure out if you need more factories, look at your resource counter at the bottom right corner. Look at whichever of crystals and ore you have the highest income of, which will almost always be crystals. As long as all resources are processed by the factory, you will only get income in increments of 2. If you ever see that your resource only increased by 1, that means that the resource went directly to your base instead of going through a factory first. That means you do not have enough factories to process all of the resources you're getting. Factories also increases the maximum amount of crystals by 25 and the maximum amount of ore by 10. The recycler allows you to convert one resource into another. Most notable, this allows you to get isotopes early, though the price is steep. Once you have a single recycler, if you go over maximum with effort, it will automatically convert the excess effort into other resources. If you go above maximum with any of the 3 other resources, they will be sold for effort, even though that is not an option you can do manually. Finally, there's the ship. I'm going to cover the ship more in another video. I do want to cover manufacturing zones. If you get a map with a lot of crystals, this is one of the best ways to use the excess crystals. Note, however, that a cycle in this game is 22 seconds, while the ship only delivers once every 36 seconds. This means that you get a lot less than it looks like. The manufacturing zone can still be a very powerful economical boost. So, that should cover all as far as the economical game mechanics goes. See you next video.